You won't believe this, but in the 18th century, a French king named Louis XIV had a peculiar obsession with enemas, taking over 2,000 during his lifetime. Welcome to Bizarre Facts About History in the 18th Century. The Sun King believed that frequent enemas, often scented with rose water or milk, would keep him in perfect health. Imagine having your personal doctor on speed dial because you needed another cleansing session. This might seem unusual to us now, but back then, it was considered a regular part of his health regimen. He even had a special chair made for the procedure, complete with velvet upholstery and gold trim. The idea was that enemas would purge the body of impurities and maintain the balance of bodily humors, which was a prevalent medical theory at the time. Now, did you know that in ancient Rome, Emperor Elagabalus liked to bathe in pools filled with wine? Yes, you heard that right. This notorious teenage emperor hosted elaborate banquets where wine wasn't just for drinking, but swimming too. I wonder who had the job of cleaning that up. Elagabalus was known for his eccentric and extravagant lifestyle, which included hosting feasts where guests could indulge in the most decadent foods and drinks. The emperor's reign was marked by excess and indulgence, and his wine baths were just one of the many ways he flaunted his wealth and power. Imagine the scene. A grand palace room filled with the scent of wine as the young emperor and his guests lounged in a pool of the finest vintage. It's no wonder that his reign was short-lived, as his extravagant lifestyle eventually led to his downfall. And here's a jaw-dropper. In 16th century England, you might find Queen Elizabeth I dramatically dining in bed while her pet monkey watched. Elizabeth's bedchamber was so lavish it outweighed entire villages in wealth, and her obsession with her pet monkey was the talk of the palace. Just imagine your boss bringing a monkey to a meeting. The queen was known for her opulent lifestyle and her love of animals, and her pet monkey was just one of the many exotic creatures she kept. Her bedchamber was adorned with rich tapestries, fine linens, and ornate furniture, making it a fitting backdrop for her royal meals. Dining in bed was a common practice for the queen, who often held court from her luxurious sleeping quarters. The presence of her pet monkey added a touch of whimsy to the proceedings, and it was said that the monkey had a habit of mimicking the queen's gestures, much to the amusement of her courtiers. Ever heard of the bizarre fate of Tycho Brahe, a Danish nobleman and astronomer? He reportedly died because he refused to leave a banquet to use the restroom, which ruptured his bladder. Talk about suffering for your pride. Tycho Brahe was a brilliant scientist whose contributions to astronomy were groundbreaking, but his death was a tragic consequence of his stubbornness. During a lavish banquet, Brahe adhered to the strict etiquette of the time, which dictated that it was impolite to leave the table before the meal was concluded. As a result, he endured immense discomfort and ultimately suffered a ruptured bladder, leading to his untimely demise. His dedication to social conventions cost him his life, but his legacy in the field of astronomy remains influential to this day. In the 18th century, medical practices were often based on a mix of superstition, tradition, and emerging scientific knowledge. Louis XIV's obsession with enemas is a prime example of how royalty often embraced unusual health regimens. The king's personal physician, Antoine Vallot, prescribed these enemas to treat a variety of ailments, believing that they could cleanse the body and prevent disease. The practice became so ingrained in the royal routine that it was performed regularly, sometimes several times a day. The enemas were administered using elaborate equipment, including gold and silver syringes, and were often accompanied by aromatic substances like rosewater, milk, or almond oil. This obsession with cleanliness and purification was reflective of the broader medical beliefs of the time, which emphasized the importance of maintaining the balance of bodily fluids, known as humors. The ancient Roman practice of bathing in wine under Emperor Elagabalus highlights the extremes of luxury and decadence that characterized his reign. Elagabalus, who became emperor at the age of 14, was known for his unconventional and often scandalous behavior. His wine baths were part of a larger pattern of excess that included extravagant feasts, elaborate clothing, and indulgent rituals. These baths were not just a display of wealth, but also a way for the emperor to immerse himself in the sensory pleasures of life. The practice likely involved filling large pools with wine and allowing guests to soak in the fragrant liquid, enjoying both its intoxicating effects and its purported health benefits. The cleanup process must have been daunting, as the wine would leave behind sticky residues and strong odors. Servants would have been tasked with draining the pools, scrubbing the surfaces, and ensuring that the emperor's luxurious quarters remained spotless. Queen Elizabeth I's fondness for dining in bed with her pet monkey underscores the personal quirks and eccentricities of historical figures. Elizabeth's bedchamber was more than just a place for rest. It was a hub of royal activity where she conducted state business, entertained guests, and enjoyed her meals. The Queen's love for her monkey was well known, and the animal was often seen by her side, dressed in miniature clothing and engaging in playful antics. This unusual companionship was a source of amusement for the court and added a touch of humanity to the otherwise austere image of the monarch. The Queen's bed was a symbol of her power and wealth, adorned with sumptuous fabrics, intricate embroidery, and precious jewels. It was within this opulent setting that she would dine on lavish meals, surrounded by her loyal attendants and, of course, her beloved monkey. The story of Tycho Brahe's death due to a ruptured bladder is a cautionary tale about the dangers of adhering too rigidly to social norms. Brahe was a respected astronomer whose work laid the foundation for modern celestial mechanics. His observations of the stars and planets were meticulous, and his dedication to his craft was unwavering. However, his adherence to the etiquette of the time ultimately led to his demise. During a banquet, Brahe found himself in a situation where leaving the table to relieve himself would have been considered a breach of protocol. As a result, he endured increasing pain and discomfort, which eventually caused his bladder to burst. This tragic event serves as a reminder of the sometimes deadly consequences of prioritizing social conventions over personal well-being. Despite his untimely death, Brahe's contributions to science continue to be celebrated, and his life story remains a poignant example of the intersection between personal pride and professional achievement. These bizarre historical facts offer a glimpse into the lives of prominent figures and the peculiar customs that shaped their world. From Louis XV's enema obsession to Elagabalus's wine baths, Elizabeth I's bedchamber dining to Tycho Brahe's tragic end, each story highlights the unique blend of tradition, superstition, and emerging scientific thought that characterized their eras. These anecdotes remind us that history is not just a series of events, but a tapestry of human experiences, filled with quirks, eccentricities, and sometimes outright oddities. By exploring these fascinating tales, we gain a deeper understanding of the past and the people who lived in it, realizing that despite the passage of time, human nature remains as complex and intriguing as ever.